Well, there's one thing we can agree on, right? I guess we all have one mutual goal. We want to protect Krista. Hey, what is up, Chaos Squad? And thanks for tuning in once again for our weekly review for Attack on Titan Season 2, Episode 34, Opening. That's it, I guess. It feels like there should be the opening or whatever, but I see why it's named that, even though some people couldn't figure that out. So let's recap the episode and review the episode. So we pick up where Eren is now lacking some arms. He's like, what the hell happened to my arms? You know, I'm missing. Well, I think he was missing from his elbows down. It looked like even more than that on the last episode. He actually pulled his arms out of his cloak. But we figure out that Reiner said, you know, oops, my mouse slipped. When I was trying to bite you out of the nape of your neck, I kind of missed, and I was in a hurry and bit your arms off. I think in the manga, I think he cuts his arms off or keeps cutting his arms off so he is less of a threat, but I could be wrong. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of interesting anyways. Let me know if I'm wrong about that. I'm too lazy to go look at my mangas on the back shelf to figure out if that's what happened or not. So Eren wants to escape, and even without his arms, he's like, screw this shit. Bites his arm, nothing happens, and then everybody's like, calm down, Eren. Evaluate the situation. We got this abnormal laying on his back, drinking a lemonade and looking up at the sky, just waiting for us to come down. All these small ones everywhere. So we got one playing hide to go seek over there, Ymir says. And then we have them too in ODM gear. So even if you get away from them, you're going to get eaten by a Titan. And then Eren starts to analyze the situation, saying like, yeah, maybe you're right. You know, can I even achieve Titan? And if I can, am I going to be at full strength? If I'm like running away from this all and outrunning the Titans, doesn't seem hard at all thinking about it right now, but I might not be at even half strength. So that's kind of cool. We're seeing Eren use his head a little bit in this episode. Then we see Ymir kind of start to question Bertholdt and Reiner about Uzuru, the beast Titan, the hairy man, saying like, what's up with that guy anyways, you know? He's throwing some rocks, bringing some Titans over. Like, I think he could talk too. Like, well, I don't think she said that because he was too far away. But obviously the dude's smart. He's a monkey. They're smart, right? And they're like, what are you talking about? I didn't see no beast guy. And she's like, I seen your guys' eyes light up as bright as headlights on a truck, you know? You know something about him. And you're probably like surprised to see that he was even in that area. Then I think that kind of triggered the Reiner meltdown. We see Reiner have a bit of a meltdown's an understatement, but he completely cracks and shatters and splits into a billion pieces, where he legitimately believes he's still a scouting member, a soldier, and then he's like, maybe I'll get a promotion, captain, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but we protected the wall, that's all that matters. And he's kind of like schizophrenic or something there for a second, kind of going back and forth. And he's like, we see Marco kind of die there very quickly. Not too much closure for Marco's character there, but Reiner's just losing. He starts to cry, and you know, everything's looking kind of tragic, and you're kind of like almost feeling sorry for Reiner for a second, and then you almost forget he's the armored Titan. And then Eren's like, wait a minute, what the hell is going on here? He's like, cut the shit. Like, you cannot be a ruthless, backstabbing murderer that you are and sit there and act like you can cry and that there's something wrong and all this stuff. And then Bertholdt's up chilling a branch above, and he's like, just in complete control, complete closure. Like, his emotions are just being held back perfectly. And then Eren's like, what the hell's your deal anyways? You know, I remember looking at you in the eye, man to man, telling you that Colossal Titan kicked the wall through, and because of him, he basically murdered everybody. My mother was eaten because of him, and all this stuff. It goes on this big tangent saying, like, you killed my mother, basically. You are a murderer. And Eren is, like, he's livid. You know, we all know Eren's got anger issues. Bertholdt straight up says, you know, back then, I used to think that I felt sorry for you. At one point, anyways. But not anymore. And I was like, damn, this dude's savage. So, then we see kind of Ymir lead on that she knows a bit more than she actually is like letting off to know. Because she starts to say like, are we actually gonna like stay here all night and stuff like that? And Reiner said, well, nighttime these Titans can't move, unlike the ones with the Beast Titan kind of thing. And then, but you should know all about that, Ymir, and all this kind of stuff. And he starts to press a few buttons, and then Ymir starts to press a few buttons with Reiner asking like, oh, but because Eren was saying, he was getting worked up again, and Ymir's like, do you actually think if we kill those two that the actual enemy is dead? And then he's like, well, who the hell is the enemy? I mean, I'm confused who the enemy is. Are you confused who the enemy is? And then Ymir is like, so just get a hold of yourself. And then Eren's like, who's the enemy? She kind of turns to him, maybe about to say who the enemy is, and Reiner's like, nah, that's enough. He said, you can join our side and maybe be safe, but I can't guarantee your safety when I bring you back home. But in the end of the day, we both want to protect Krista. And then we see the flares being shot in the air. Bertholdt is looking pretty shaken at this point, that the scouts are already on the move and coming back. So let's talk about this episode. It was a bit of a slower episode for sure, and I'm going to say that right off the bat. I see a lot of people kind of complaining about it, and they have right to complain, in my opinion. Why? Because what I said last time in my last review, there's 12 episodes. This episode was awesome, by the way, for character development and stuff like that. It was phenomenal. But I don't think they could afford to do 2 slow episodes, and like this one really felt like no progression was really made. Like after I got done watching it, I was like, well, we didn't really progress at all. But we did learn a lot and see some sweet stuff. But that aside, if this season was 24, 32, 50 episodes, 20 episodes, you know, you could probably squeeze in this episode quite well. This episode probably would have been fine even if we could like trim that last one somehow. But really, in the end of the day, there wasn't a whole lot of progression made, which kind of sucks. However, character development was on point for this episode. We got to see Reiner completely break into oblivion pieces like a mirror. He has been undercover for so long for whoever it is that he is working for, whatever have you. And just going to adjust the camera a little bit. And because of that, he legitimately believed he was a soldier and had emotions and kind of like started to feel for these people. However, Bertholdt didn't. And so that kind of makes me think like Bertholdt is really the more dangerous one and potentially like the scariest one. We got to see Eren is now starting to be a little bit mature and using his head a little bit and not rushing into situations and just punching people in the face, even though he did try to go Titan right away. But you could see him analyzing the situations a bit more, saying like, well, if this happened, this would happen. We almost see Ymir leak who the actual enemy is. He even had her say that like these two aren't really the actual enemy. If we get rid of them, that's a small piece of the pie. This ain't over. So that makes me wonder like who the hell is the enemy? Another question I had, and I kind of want to ask you guys, is what is with like Eren's and Ymir's eyes? Is that just exhaustion being like shown just with the artwork, or is it scars? Like I'm not sure if like Bertholdt and Reiner like they definitely did in that episode, but I'm not sure if it's ever really been shown on anybody else except Eren when he comes out of Titan mode, and apparently Ymir. So I'm wondering why they're different. I want to know what you guys think of that as well. But yeah, it was like between 6 and 7, so 6.5 maybe out of 10. Really, it was an awesome character development episode from that kind of a standpoint. But there's only 3 episodes left. You know, is it 3? Maybe it's, you know, maybe it's 2. It's 2 or 3. It's not very many. So we don't got much to work with, guys. We're going to run out of episode. And hopefully these next few can really push forward and leave us at a very good ending point for this season. And then we could come back in 2020, 2030, whenever this next season's going to come out. And really have another awesome kick-ass season of Attack on Titan. Hopefully it be longer. I read some reasons why it's shorter, but I'm not really sure if it's 100% true. I want to do a little bit more reading about it, and if it is, maybe I'll do a video on that. Let me know down below what you guys thought of the episode. Anyways, thanks for watching. Chaos Reviews signing out.